Guys, it's Christina of CraftyPaws. I'm here to share a process video on how I made this super sweet card for Emily. Emily is a girl who is 6 years old and has been battling cancer for the last 2 years. She is one of the children that is going to be the recipient of a card shower hosted by Jennifer McGuire. And Jennifer said that Emily likes animals, the outdoors, and dark pink. So I made this card specifically for Emily, and I used the following materials. This is a Wild Rose Studio stamp with this cute little elephant, and I picked this up at Jamie's Not Too Shabby shop ages ago, and it's called Bunch of Balloons, and I just think it's so darling. The little opening here I made with this Pretty Pink Posh peekaboo die, which I just love for adding dimension and interest. And the paper that I used is from this Cartabella paper stack called Words of Love. So I hope you enjoy this process video, and if you get a chance, please check out Jennifer's challenge. First, I'm gonna take my Memento Tuxedo Black ink and ink up this stamp set from Wild Rose Studio called Bunch of Balloons, and I'm using my mouse pad underneath my paper so that I can get a clean stamped image. I'm coloring up this little elephant with the warm gray Copic markers. I think the warm grays, that's the W line, is a kind of more natural gray color for living things like animals. And I'm just starting off with some light coloring using little flicking motions with W1 and W3, just marking in where the shadows would be with my W3, and then coloring in the base of the elephant with the W1. To give this elephant a little rosy cheek, I am coloring in some blush with R20. I'm also going to put a little bit of that R20 in the deepest part of the ear, and then a lighter pink, an R30 for the outside part of the inside of the ear. Now I decided I needed a little bit more contrast, so I'm bringing in a W5, I believe, and putting in some more shadows on the hind legs, under the chin, under the ear, on the back ear, and under the trunk. I'm also going to be coloring in kind of the wrinkles on the legs, and I'm giving a kind of rounded look to the head by coloring in some extra shadows into the back part of the head. I decided to give him some freckles with some white dots with a white Jelly Roll pen. Now I stamped out the balloons twice because I wanted to add a little dimension with the main focal point balloon. Emily said that she likes dark pink, so I wanted to have that main balloon in the very front be that dark pink. If you're interested in the Copic colors I'm using, please check out my blog where I've listed all the colors I've used. Now just to mark the placement of that pink balloon, I'm coloring in that central balloon with pink, and now I'm starting to color in the other balloons in the bunch. And as you can see, I'm trying to get the shape of the whole balloon, of each balloon, showing through the balloons in front of them. And I do that just by trying to make the rounded areas of the balloons behind, I draw them in with those colors, and then I color on top with the next forward balloon. So that one's blue, for example. I colored in that one blue. And because I'm so far off screen, I've edited out the rest of the coloring until I get to one where I can show you more clearly this kind of layering of color to show the balloons layered one in front of the other. So I'm going to show you this purple balloon, and I'm drawing in the remainder of the balloon even though it's not in the stamped image. And you see, I'm showing you the whole purple balloon behind the green balloon. And now I'm going to add a slightly darker shade of this purple on the lower part of the balloon where it's less taut, and I'm also going to add in that color behind the green balloon. Now to kind of soften the whole look, I'm going over the forward green balloon with green again. And then I'm going to add one more layer of the darker purple at the base of the purple balloon. Now I'm going to fussy cut out the dark pink balloon, and then I actually also ink the edges with a marker, but somehow I missed that in the video editing. And now I'm fussy cutting out the whole bunch of balloons. And I'm not worried about all the strings because I'm going to be drawing those back in later when it's all part of a card. And here you see that I'm taking a Faber-Castell SB point marker and inking all around the edges. And I like doing that because it gives a more finished look to fussy cut little pieces because the edge of the white paper doesn't show. Now I'm popping up on foam adhesive the center of that hot pink balloon and then gluing all the edges so that it just adds a tiny bit of dimension to that special central balloon. But the edges of that balloon meet the rest of the balloon bunch image, so it's not just hanging off. Now I'm adding some white highlights to each of the balloons on the upper left section of the balloons, and I'm doing that with a white jelly roll pen. And now the bunch of balloons is fully colored. Now to prep the background, the card base, with the blue sky that I want peeking through the peekaboo hole that I'll be making, I'm using Tim Holtz Distress inks in Tumbled Glass and Salty Ocean. I'm just using my ink blending tools to make a kind of ombre look. And now I'm taking the Pretty Pink Posh Peekaboo die and I'm trying to figure out the right position on the card front that I die cut out with a Big Shot. And now this die leaves the die cut area closed, so you have to open it up with an X-Acto blade like this. Now I'm taking my bone folder and I'm going to be curling up the different flaps of this peekaboo die cut. And I do that because I don't want it to lay flat. I want there to be a curl where each of these flaps are opened up. Now before I adhere the card front to the card base, I wanted to tie a little red satin ribbon around the lower part of this card front. And I'm securing it just with some Scotch tape on the back. So I taped on the strip along the bottom, and then now I'm going to take another little piece of this ribbon and tie a bow about 2/3 of the way over to the right. Now to finish off the bow, I want to cut some little fish tails on the ends there. Now I'm going to take some wet glue and just adhere down the two flaps that I want flat, and then just the tips of the flaps where I want to make sure that the curls stay. So you see me positioning those flaps, making sure that the curl remains and that the flaps are secured down. Now I'm just trying to position the little elephant in that window, and I'm going to glue him right into position. And then I'm going to adhere the whole card front onto the card base with an ATG gun. Now for the balloons, I wanted to use some foam adhesive to give the balloon some lift. So toward the top of the balloon bunch, I'm adding foam adhesive, and then I'm using wet glue for the base so that the balloons look like they are coming out of that peekaboo window. Now you see I'm going to add a double layer of this foam adhesive toward the top of the balloons just to add even more dimension and have kind of a gradation of the balloons coming up and out of that little peekaboo hole. Now I'm taking a Copic multi-liner pen in 0.1 point, and I'm drawing back in the lines of the balloons. And I want to make sure that they're all gathered, looking like the elephant is holding all the balloons with his trunk. And I'm trying to be careful so that the lines connect properly with the stamped image of the balloons. Now I'm adding glossy accents to a few of the balloons. I also add glitter glue to some of the balloons, but I missed that in the videoing. If you enjoyed this process video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you get a chance, please check out Jennifer Maguire's Card Shower Challenge for these two great kids battling cancer.